Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome on the last day of Barcelona Cybersecurity Congress. My name is David Ilya. I will be the daily host today. I'm from company Iron OT from Czech Republic. We are the next generation company taking care mainly about industrial cybersecurity. Through our last day of the conference, we will bring you a fantastic lineup of presentation and panels, all of which we cover topics like cybersecurity through AI and cloud, international data spaces, data sharing, and more. Each presentation today will run from about 30 minutes, where at the end will be 10 minutes of questions. And speakers will do their best to reserve some time at the end for of the presentation for these questions. So don't hesitate to ask. They will be happy to answer. Before we get started, I will have to thank to our program committee volunteers who bring this fantastic lineup to you, who work from last August to have lineup like that. So thank you very much. They are from International Society of Automation. Second, I would like to thank to all of the speakers which found time during their busy schedule to came and to bring their ideas to you. And on behalf of everyone involved, I would like to also thanks to all sponsors of this conference, because without them, this amazing event just will not be possible. Now, without any additional comments, let me please introduce our keynote panel today, Staging the Future of Cybersecurity Through AI and the Cloud. Today's moderator is Melissa London, Senior Content Editor at automation.com. Joining her on the stage will be Bartek Ziolkowski, Co-founder and CEO at CDeX, Michael Doran, Senior Director of Cyber Resilience and External Affairs and GSK, and Facundo Mauricio, Cybersecurity Strategist, Innovation Management at Siemens. Let's welcome them.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our panel, Shaping the Future of Cybersecurity, AI, and the Cloud. I hope everyone has been enjoying the event so far this week. I know I have, and I'm excited to hear from our panelists today. So in our panel session this morning, industry leaders are going to be looking at the profound influence of AI, quantum computing, and cloud technology, and the impact it has on the future of cybersecurity. So as cyber threats are continuing to evolve, organizations have to embrace new strategies to protect their digital assets effectively. So our panelists are going to discuss how the integration of AI-driven threat detection, quantum-safe cryptography, and cloud-based security solutions can enhance existing defenses and reduce risk. So today we will discover how these cutting-edge technologies are transforming the cybersecurity landscape and paving the way for a more secure digital future. So I'm excited to hear what our panelists have to say, and so I'm going to join them in just a moment and have them introduce themselves and give you all a little bit of background on them so that we'll have context for their answers.
Hello. So my name is Michael Doran. I am the Senior Director of Cyber Resilience External Affairs at GSK. Been with GSK for about 4 years. Prior to coming to GSK, I did quite a number of years as an incident response digital forensics consultant, working for a variety of different companies, specializing in ransomware response, threat mitigation, as well as on the proactive side of things, which is building out cybersecurity programs, plans, playbooks, et cetera. And then I actually cut my teeth in the cybersecurity space. I was a law enforcement officer for 9.5 years. The last 3.5, I was actually a digital forensic examiner for an entire metro area. So I'm very happy to be here in Barcelona speaking on this panel, and I'll pass to my next colleague here.
Hey, hello. My name is Facundo Mauricio. I work for Siemens on the area of cybersecurity and innovation in the area of strategy, which is quite crazy to think that we get to the point that we need to think on cybersecurity on the strategic side. But this happened because I also published a book, which is called CyberSeo, and it's a book in which I analyze what is the impact of cybersecurity for large organizations, and especially how do we need to think cybersecurity from a strategic point of view, getting a little bit away from the daily basis of technology, but thinking on what is the impact of technology in the organization and on people. And so I'm super glad to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. Looking forward for some of the topics that we're going to discuss today.
All right, thank you very much. You guys were so fast. I'll try to be fast as well. So my name is Bartek. I'm CEO and co-founder of the company called CDeX. It's cyber defense and exercise platform. We are doing cyber ranges. Getting some feedback, yeah. We are doing cyber ranges, and we are a startup that is trying to, change the world, of course. Previously, I worked for 20-something years for corporations. I had a chance to work for Nokia in Germany while it was still the top company on the planet. It was a great place. But then there was this famous meeting where our president of mobile phones laughed at the iPhone, and I had to look for another job, right? So that's sometimes how it goes. I ended up in Brussels working for NATO headquarters, delivering large infrastructure and large projects for NATO. 14 years, got really tired with the corporation, the speed of corporations, and then I make the decision to co-found and start a company, become an entrepreneur, and the time will tell if that was the right move or not. But I'm very happy to be here, giving a little bit maybe different perspective than my colleagues from large and established company, and yeah, happy to be here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. So let's dive right into our first question. So one thing that obviously impacts the future of cybersecurity is the workforce and the future workforce. So tell me, what steps are being taken in closing the talent gap? And each of you can answer, whoever wants to start, and then we'll just continue on.
Sure, I'll start off. So I think steps to take to close that talent gap is, first of all, recognizing the impact that a talent gap has on an organization, and not just the organization, but the entire cybersecurity field as well. And so from an internal perspective, I think we need to invest a lot more in our internal workforce, as far as doing awareness sessions, training opportunities, internships, where individuals who are in different departments may have a passion or a desire to get into cybersecurity, but are not, up to speed on how exactly to do that. So offering training programs, internships where they can spend 6 weeks to a couple of months in the cybersecurity departments within the organization, learn about it, and move on from there, and potentially fill roles that they're seeking to fill out. Number two, I think from an external perspective, and I think I've started to see a little shift in this, is this notion of you get this job because you have the necessary qualifications, but you also have a college degree. And I think a lot of organizations are reliant on that, and you're closing the door on a lot of potential candidates that don't have a college degree, but who have industry-wide experience, certifications, they're self-taught, and those are sort of what I like to call the diamonds in the rough, right? Those are the individuals that are not to fit the mold, but can still do the job just the same. And the third thing I like to say is that invest in additional technology, not going overboard and buying every piece of tech known to man, but in an investment in a strong strategic fashion. You bring in a new piece of technology that brings in, you need someone to run the piece of tech, you need someone to install it, to maintain it, and that brings in new talent from the outside. So 3 key areas, both internal and external, that I think helps to close that gap.
Cool. I'm gonna take a slightly different stand. That is like what we identify on the organization. Siemens is a huge organization, as some of you can imagine, and one of the issues that we can see is that we are having more challenges, and we actually need more technology than what we can get people to fill the gap. So for us, when we look into the market and we actually try to work with universities to develop those skills, we actually find that it's so new, the technology, it's so hard to find the people that we cannot even fill the positions to actually teach people about these new technologies. If some of you have been on the education sector, you will find that it's very hard to find skillful, let's put it this way, people who actually teach cybersecurity or who teach post-quantum cryptography or who teach AI. Because the people who actually have the skills are, of course, employed by the different organizations, and they're actually doing amazing work inside the organization. So part of the gap talent that we need to find is to find a way to actually train the next generation of these skillful people that we're going to need in the future. And we also, what we can see is that the acceleration that we actually need people is getting faster. Let me put it this way. We found a significant growing on the threats that we experience on the organization, but we take maybe 6 months, 8 months, a year sometimes to find an expert who can fill that gap. And so we are now looking into, for example, AI, and actually trying to see how we can reduce the workload of the people that have some expertise on, for example, cybersecurity, and just to try to make sure that we can apply the hours that these people work in the most relevant areas, instead of maybe doing some bureaucracy, let's call it, or ticket management. So we are actually, funny enough, this gap in talent is motivating the use of AI and other technologies to actually try to make more efficient the resources that we already have. Because we have amazing resources, but we don't have enough. We cannot find them in the market. So we are actually, this is pushing, I believe, for an amazing change in the way that people will work in the following years. Because people will spend more time doing what it actually provides value to the organization, and less time, hopefully, thanks to AI and some other tools, reducing the bureaucracy, the time that they spend doing things that are not heavily biased towards a significant impact on the organization.
Right, so our mission is basically as CDeX is to close that talent gap. I don't think we can close it completely, but we will do our best. And how actually we started with this idea, what happened is that my business partner is running a company that is delivering a cleared personnel to EU and NATO. And a lot of that is cybersecurity. And also me working in NATO, you know, cybersecurity is built in the process. I mean, you cannot deliver new capability if you don't go through the approvals of the security people. And of course, we always try to, you know, when you hire a cybersecurity specialist, you check their CVs, you call their previous boss, you look at their certifications, it all looks good. But you don't know how good they are if the real, actual, complicated attack hits your infrastructure. So I happen to live in a very historical place. It's Waterloo outside of Belgium, where, you know, Napoleon got his butt kicked by Wellington. But basically the idea was, especially with Napoleon, he wanted to know how good his people are. So he was testing in very different ways. And there was Polish division, by the way, working with Napoleon. We took the wrong side again, right? But anyway, so we were with Napoleon, and he kind of said to these people, you know, the Polish can drink all night and they can fight all day, so do the same. And he knew how good the teams are. So cyber range basically is the same idea. We put people to realistically survive an attack on certain portion of infrastructure. It's also nice to virtualize, the attacks are automated, we are using AI to make it a bit more or bit less linear, and at the end we are giving the result to the player and to his manager how well he scored on different types of attacks. So that's what we are trying to do. And if it comes to the talent gap, you know, when you look, the number is about 4 million on the planet, right? But when you look at the distribution, actually it's mainly Asia where the talent gap is the biggest, because North America and Western Europe can afford the salaries of really experienced people. And if you are a medium or small enterprise, you may not be able to afford. So using a cyber range, you can also increase your skill set. So you can use regular IT guy, that's maybe a bit not the best thing to say, but IT engineer who is managing some portion of your infrastructure, you can put him through a different trainings on the cyber range, and he will be able to defend against actual realistic cyber attacks. We are of course following MITRE matrix, OWASP, and all the techniques, so we are not inventing that. So if somebody from, for example, from critical infrastructure companies comes and scores 26%, that means that the door is wide open. If they score about 70, it's probably about fine. So this is what we believe, you know, this is our contribution to closing the talent gap.
Awesome, thank you for those answers. So I'm going to jump to Michael's question. Michael, can you tell us how organizations can leverage AI in their cyber resiliency planning?
Yeah, so definitely with AI, it brings a whole new level of complexities to it, but it also has a lot of benefits when it comes to shaping organization strategic perspectives on the way they approach incident response. So from a resiliency perspective, individuals and organizations can leverage AI in a number of different ways. One, in the preemptive stage of things, actually going out, figuring out what the vulnerabilities are, patching them, figuring out what specific security flaws are resident on specific systems, patching those as well. When it actually comes to the mitigation piece of it, the human element is still there from an incident response side of the house, but everybody knows in incident response, the faster you react to a threat, the shorter that threat level will be. So integrating AI into our incident response capabilities will actually help organizations to respond to those alerts quicker on a preset playbook or plan or SOAR plan so that they can react and close the gap and mitigate and isolate the specific threat as quickly as possible. Then you move into more of the sort of the automation piece of it, right? Where incident responders, sometimes in organizations, they're strapped for resources. So IT personnel double as IT and incident response. Their workload goes up, they get stressed, they miss a lot of things. AI can come in and help augment that resource, take away some of the mundane tasks, automate them, and then free up those resources to do more of the critical operations within an organization. And then ultimately, at the tail end of it, you're talking about what you're talking about, which is AI can come in, work through the incident, at the same time, at the close of the incident, generate an after-action review report, a new playbook if it's something net new that the teams can leverage, as well as building tabletop exercises that the teams can leverage in future trainings to prepare them so that if and when something like that happens again, they can react that much faster. So.
Awesome. Okay, Facundo, it's time for your question. Can you tell us, how is quantum computing playing into the future of cybersecurity?
Sure. Let's try to make that into a short answer. No, this is amazing because one of my tasks at Siemens is to try to look into the solutions that we will need in the coming years, right? So I moved from a more operational situation in which I was looking into what are the issues right now into actually start looking at what are the issues that we're going to have in the future. And funny enough, one of those that closed the gap is quantum computer. We thought that quantum computer was an issue that we would have to solve in the next 5 or 10 years. But actually, unfortunately, maybe we will have to fix it really soon. So for those who are in the industry, we are looking even in the next 2 years or less. We need to close this gap. What does it mean? It means that the attacks that we are looking, the complexity of the issues that we expect to have in the future will have some component of quantum computing on it. And means that, at least from our point of view, when we build infrastructure, you can imagine that we build power plants. We build a number of infrastructure that keep the electricity together. We need to start thinking on what kind of tools will be used by the attackers to sort of try to defeat that. And we are now seeing in our planning, doing the tabletop exercise and doing the mapping with the expert and meeting with everyone involved in the industry, that this is a reality, that we are expecting quantum-based attack in the coming years. No one knows exactly when the first one will occur, and no one knows if actually one has already occurred. But the thing is that we are actually developing this technology in trying to start using what we call crypto flexibility. Maybe some of you heard, but the idea is that we need to be able to encrypt information in different ways. And we need to be sure that when we manage information, send or receive, or when we store information, we are able to have flexibility into the cryptography that we use to encrypt that, because our attackers are having the tools, or potentially already have them, to actually decrypt that. And the solution is not to try to be more rigid. The solution is actually to be flexible. And as always in technology, the solution is to be able to create a system that can iterate quickly and faster and be more flexible to create new encryption that can respond, let's say, to the attackers that we see. And so actually the future is not only quantum in that sense. What quantum really means is that we need to start thinking in systems that are easy to update, quick to modify, very flexible, because our attackers are adapters, or are early adopters, I will call them, and so they can improve very quickly their ways of attack. So we need to, now cybersecurity has a lot of thinking on it. In our design phase, we need to start incorporating that we may not know what is going to be the final solution, but we need to be flexible in the way that we think it, so future solution can be quickly implemented, hopefully faster than the attacker can do it.
Great. Okay. Bartek, it's time for your question. Can you tell us about how you all are using AI for the human and education piece of cyber readiness?
Right, yeah, I will. But first, I wanted to come back a little bit to what you guys said, because you said 2 times the word which I consider a bad word, tabletop exercise, right? and I'll give a little bit of context. So my last final project for NATO before I left was business continuity of NATO headquarters. It's been done for years as a tabletop exercise. And the first time we decided to do it as if something really happened. And that changed the game completely. So actually providing the cyber range, we are trying to help companies to move away from tabletop exercises, either for business continuity or for actual attacks, because we do talk to the customers. They say, yeah, we do the business continuity exercise. We announce that the mail server died at 10 and was restored by 12. That's great, but why don't you really see whether your people can restore the service within 2 hours, right? So I just wanted to say that. And if it comes to quantum, we actually have quantum random number generator connected to our system, because I think this is one thing that works really well right now. And if you are a fan of cryptography, as me, you know that random numbers cannot be really random on deterministic devices, so you need to have quantum to make it really random, and then you protect the salt and you protect everything. So we have it, we try to attack it, we have some ideas, we are looking forward for the future of quantum, how it goes. It's great. Now, if it comes to the AI, and how do we use it for learning? So, you know, AI is a hype, and I absolutely love it, because I finished my university in 1999. I guess half of the people here were probably very, very young at the time. And, you know, I've been taught AI already back then, and I've been told it's coming. And it kind of came really last year with ChatGPT making really breakthrough and being there. So we worked on the EU grant to basically develop this novel model of creating nonlinear attacks to do a few things, to either check somebody's skill set level, what they can really do under being attacked by the EI, which is relatively smart, but let's not exaggerate. These are first steps. Before they are really smart, it's going to take time. Then we can test how far this person can go by modifying the infrastructure, modifying the conditions, and seeing how well he works. Or we can also help him to resolve the riddles that he has to do. And this year we also applied for an EU grant where we want to build some sort of a co-pilot for AI. So today, you know, people are bored with traditional training. So you go to class, you go for 5 days. There is a little bit of, you know, practical exercises. There is a little bit of, you know, you are bored, you're tired, you want to really finish as soon as possible. So what we are trying to do is to create a system where, like, if you have a couple of hours during the week, you choose specific area that you want to learn, and you will have an AI co-pilot helping you to get through. Of course, when you get the help, your score will not be too high, but after a number of repetitions, a number of ways the AI will support you, then you'll be able to learn very, very quickly. And this is actually what we are trying to do. This is a project that will go for over 2 years, funded by you, hopefully, assuming we get the money, because we are a little startup, so investment is, of course, a bit tricky. But that's what we are trying to do. And the final kind of, you know, futuristic vision of AI for resolving, let's say, the cybersecurity issues. Like today, let's say you have 10 people in the SOC managing one company. We believe that with AI, you can move to one person managing 10 SOCs. And having an AI model that can help you. I could talk about it for another 15 minutes, but I'll give some time for my other guys. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. So I want to have a few minutes at the end for the audience to ask some questions. So be thinking about what questions you may want to ask. But before we do that, I just wanted to ask if any of you have any other comments that you want to make, either on what somebody else said or just any of the topics that we've gotten to so far, if anything's popped into your mind that you feel like you want to share.
Perhaps the thing that I can highlight is that all of you that are here, I hope you're here because you're interested in cybersecurity. And cybersecurity is really the future. And I usually, you know, I give conference and so on, and I explain to people that we need to, hopefully with the help of all of you, we need to stop thinking that cybersecurity is just about the technical aspect of security. And when I see an audience and when I talk to some of you, and I'm always so happy when I see people that is not only from the technical side involved in cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is becoming part of the global discussion, is becoming part of the geopolitics, is becoming part of economics, and it is important that if you come from a different discipline, you have the courage, you have the interest to join cybersecurity, because I think it's a wonderful place to be. And from the point of view of my company and probably the other companies as well, we're always looking for talent. We're always looking for people with different backgrounds. And sometimes could be a little bit scary because our show postings ask for everything, as you will expect. But I really want to encourage all of you, young and old alike, that this is a wonderful field to be, and I think it's going to grow a lot. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how altogether we change cybersecurity in the coming years.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, 1 minute, because I took a lot of time. I would like to say, one thing, don't be afraid. We have those tools that can measure exactly what you can do, but this is to help you and to basically make you the best you can be before the AI will make us all obsolete. But don't be afraid. Train, learn, experiment, and help us secure the world.
Yeah, and to build on that, don't be afraid. But one of the things that I had to learn real quick coming out of law enforcement was actually coming out of my comfort zone and doing things that I wasn't normally accustomed to doing. And some of my best experiences was because I actually came out of my zone, tried something new, I learned something new, and found out I had a passion for it. Doing the tabletop exercises, I fell into that doing it as a consultant. A project manager said, hey, would you want to do one? I said, okay, fine, what's a tabletop? And she said, here's what you do. I said, okay, fine. I went and did it. And I was like, this is fascinating stuff. And that's the way that I have found my passion to change the cyber world, especially at GSK. I came to GSK in 2017, 2018. And we did maybe 1 to 2 tabletops a year across the enterprise. Now we're up to doing 65 or 70 across the enterprise. So we've definitely made leaps and bounds and strides when it comes to the education and awareness piece.
Cool. All right, well, we have a few minutes left. So does anyone have any questions, either for a specific panelist or just for whoever wants to answer the question?
We have questions.
Hello. Have you experimented using artificial intelligence platform to organize tabletop exercises or general ones or specific for some topic in order to avoid having to prepare all the material that is necessary for these exercises?
Yeah, I guess the question is for me. Yes, we're exactly trying to do that. So we understand that there is some portion of tabletop when, especially on the C level, where people come and if incident happens, somebody needs to call a number, somebody needs to respond to this number, some people needs to be put awake possibly, and they need to start acting. But all the portion which is related to technology, we can model in our cyber range and tell you, okay, your service died at this time, your restoration time is X, we will see what happens. We can put different type of attacks to see what really people can do. So we will be not announcing that something is fixed, we will see that it's being fixed. But there is still some merit to the tabletop for people who manage and not necessarily execute the technology.
Anyone?
Hi. Thank you very much for an interesting discussion. How important is availability planning in the future when you have this? We are going into darker worlds, more complex environment. So, but we also have this basic infrastructure. You always have servers, and your network equipment, and so on. Is that going to change when we're going into the AI world, though?
I can take that as maybe the closest to critical infrastructure. This is a big challenge. Critical infrastructure, as maybe you know, is just trying to maintain what keeps us happy and alive all together. And the challenge with that is that most of the infrastructure is very old, And the main issue that we have is like really how to maintain or to actualize or to keep updated really old infrastructure. But the discussion is really about like how secure is our infrastructure and what we can do to secure it. We are evaluating a few options with AI, but at the moment is not, I will say it's not the focus, because still we are in a world with most of the infrastructure is still very old. So this is a discussion for the future, but the present discussion is like, how do we keep the lights running while we also make sure that we can keep it safe, right? Because a lot of things will need to change and are changing over time. But this is an investment that is sometimes hard to argue, right? For the government, is like, so we already have the lights running, why change it, right? And when do they make their decision? Either because they do an exercise and they realize that they have no clue how to keep it safe, or because something happened on the next government, hopefully, and they realize, oh, are we using the same equipment or are we having the same protocols? And then we will be as vulnerable as well. And as I say, cybersecurity is becoming a geopolitical element as well. And this is why critical infrastructure started to play on this. So we are very focused on trying to find solutions for this, but this is not a solution that will come only for one or multiple companies. It is, I would say, it's as a society, sort of how much priority we give to cybersecurity. And unfortunately, it's more likely that we will give more priority to cybersecurity as we start to see the issues that came with severe or very complex incident, probably consequence of some of the issues that you may all be familiar about that are happening in the world. So this is a complex situation to know how to fix the critical infrastructure.
Yeah, so, you know, there's this famous saying that my CFO is always saying that you sell cybersecurity as aspirin or vitamin. So the question for all of you is, do you want aspirin after you got hurt, or do you want to have some good vitamins before you get hurt? So I definitely recommend the vitamins.
All right, one more question.
Thank you guys for this very interesting discussion. And my question is, can we just outsource all the cybersecurity burden to cloud provider maybe and forget it, just pay for it and forget it?
Sorry. So, because this is a very good question. So, you know, we try to sell to CISOs, right? And we've been on the EXO CISO meeting last year in Florence, which was great because there are about 150 European CISOs from really large companies. And they exactly tell me that, well, I have my cybersecurity insurance, I outsource my SOC, I don't care. But the question is, do you know if the SOC people that you outsourced can really survive realistic attacks? How important are your IP rights? So one of the guys was a CISO of Red Bull, and they have a secret formula, probably like Coca-Cola and others. So sure, you outsourced it, you feel safe, you have your insurance. What if they steal your secret anyway? So we kind of try to help you to assess what really the end people can do, no matter if they are your own people or the people in the SOC that you outsourced. And if the cyber insurances, as we discussed, the premium will go up, because for the moment they just ask, okay, how many break-ins you had, how much money you lost, and that's it. But that's gonna change. So yeah, good idea. Can work for many, but I think there's more to that.
Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's give our panelists a round of applause. Nice work, guys.